Police have made a 10th arrest in connection with Operation Double Trouble. More on that, plus Carrie Schneider has this week's report with our friends at the DuBois County Humane Society, and the Ferdinand 175th Celebration Royalty join us for tonight's edition of Inform. All of that and much more is up next here on the 18 WJTS News. Hello, I'm Bradford Raths. Operation Double Trouble continues as police have made a 10th arrest in the ongoing case. This morning, authorities took 36-year-old Cassandra Cole of Jasper into custody in Orange County. She is charged with a level 5 felony count for aiding and dealing methamphetamine. In a news release, Deputy Prosecutor Beth Sermersheim says Cole is being brought back to DuBois County for her initial trial in DuBois Superior Court. Sermersheim says more arrests are expected in the weeks to come. Of course, Operation Double Trouble began following the success of Operation Big Brother last summer, an operation that netted 16 arrests in all. The first 8 suspects in this latest case were arrested during an early morning raid back on June 4th. A 9th suspect was taken into custody the next day, June 5th. Work continues on the efforts to relocate the Huntingburg Street Department. Last night, officials with the State Department of Homeland Security held a brief meeting with city officials and some members of the public about the project at Huntingburg City Hall. Now, the city is looking to apply for around $2 million in grant money. The State Department of Homeland Security and FEMA have a combined total of $4.2 million in grant money available to communities for these type of projects. The city's current street department, of course, is located in a floodplain, thus necessitating this move. City officials are currently looking into the Fox Metals building located along East 19th Street as a possible new site. Huntingburg Planning Director Paul Lake says the Fox Metals property also offers additional land for parking equipment, which was a priority in selecting a site. Lake says getting out of the floodplain will make life much easier for everyone.
Buildings and equipment and water just don't mix well, and it's something that's sorely needed, and we've got pictures going back looking at previous rain events that show what happens. And it just, when I have problem getting a street department to their facilities because of floodwaters, then at that point, yes, we need to address it.
Now, another part of this project involves providing a local training site for emergency response workers. Currently, those workers have to go outside of DuBois County for training as no local facility exists. DuBois County Emergency Management Director Tammy Humbert says the training site would solve several problems.
Oh, it would be great. It would not only help our office, it would help all of our responding offices such as EMS, law enforcement, fire, everyone. It would be able to pull in together and have one central location instead of having to go out of town.
Of course, the city is in the application process as we speak. Winners of the funding will be announced in December. A proposed new phone system will be coming to Jasper City buildings in the near future. Last night, the Jasper Utility Service Board voted to approve moving ahead with the phone project. Now, the original projections had the project coming in at roughly $9,000 more than the $83,000 budget. However, city utility officials soon discovered that new cables will need to be run, thus adding an additional $13,850 to the tab. In the end, the phone project will end up costing more than $108,400, including project management costs. That's roughly $25,400 over budget. Utilities General Manager Bud Hauersperger says the utilities have enough money in other funds to cover the additional costs. Hauersperger says despite the additional expense, the new system will put the city in a better long-term position.
It'll increase our bandwidth for, should make sure we're kind of future-proofed a little bit on the speed of our computers and the phone system. I know we'd hate to have our new phone system go in and then people call in and get choppy voice phone calls. We're trying to avoid that at all costs.
On a somewhat related note, the board decided to table a request for a new computer server at Jasper City Hall. Hauersperger had originally estimated that would cost around $25,000. However, project consultant Brian Scott of Technology Dynamics found servers at a pair of schools in Indianapolis that are closing for much cheaper. Thus, Hauersperger says costs for a new server will need to be recalculated. And finally today marked a first for the Jasper Chamber of Commerce's legislative gatherings. This afternoon, the Chamber and VUJC hosted the first summer legislative luncheon. Local lawmakers Mike Braun and Mark Messmer were in attendance, while Lloyd Arnold and Aaron Houchin were unable to make it. Of course, this past legislative session was the first time for Braun in the political field after many years as a local businessman running Meyer Distributing. Braun, who replaced Messmer as the District 63 state representative, says this first session was the culmination of a process that began 2 years ago.
Mark had called me when he decided to run for state senate, and he and my brother had been talking about, because I was interested in getting into politics and was looking at some other things, and this came along, and it was really, I think, for me, the right way to get started in the process. Like I mentioned in the discussion, we live in a great state. There's a lot of things working right with Indiana.
This past session was Messmer's first as a state senator after being in the District 63 House of Representatives seat that Braun is now in, like we just mentioned. Messmer says moving to the Senate was a bit of a transition, but everything wound up working out.
My first session as a senator was a very smooth transition. I was very successful at getting hearings on bills and getting bills passed. Probably one of the advantages I had coming from the House was knowing who to send bills to the second half of session to make sure they had a good quality sponsor on the House side, and that makes a big difference when who you send your bill to, who sent bills to me.
Topics discussed this afternoon ranged from how to jumpstart economic growth in Indiana to improving the returns of higher education and health care. All right, coming up after the break, Carrie is next with our friends at the Du Bois County Humane Society, and later, Rain, Rain, Go Away, and Ferdinand Royalty takes over in form. We're back after this.